Jikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, jikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for an incredible session of the Daily African Proverbs. My name is Simon Javan Okello. I am the host of the African Father in America podcast, and today we have a really special guest, my wonderful friend Chioma, who is a gifted writer, a poet, and a creator. You should check out Chioma's Instagram page. I was just talking about it. Chioma, what's your Instagram page, by the way?
It's Chioma.Sheri, so it's CHIOMA.SHERI.
Perfect. So, thank you again, Chioma, for sharing that. Our conversation is going to be grounded on an African proverb. As usual, every day we gather here, we come with a new African proverb and we dissect it. But on Wednesdays, it's even much more interesting because Chioma comes in, takes these African proverbs and turns them into a poem. So we are going to enjoy a really beautiful experience for the next 1 hour. We are going to start with just sharing a few takeaways from this proverb that were prepared by my team. And then we are going to go into what this proverb means to Chioma. And then we will talk about, we'll listen to the poem that Chioma prepared for us today. And then after that, we are going to talk about, one of Chioma's published poems that, I just discovered while I was online recently that I want her to talk to us a little bit about. She might answer it with another poem, we don't know. So that's going to be the structure of our conversation. I would love to invite you to ping in 3 to 5 people if you're on the Clubhouse space, and also share the room across, Clubhouse and outside of Clubhouse. If you are on YouTube, remember to subscribe to the channel. I just want to pin the link at the top of the room for those who are on Clubhouse so that you can join us there and let us know where you're joining us from, which part of the world you are joining us from. It's always beautiful being here with you all and, learning, growing, but also knowing that, the time we are spending together also makes our ancestors proud and makes them smile, because these proverbs are not new. These proverbs were being discussed by our mothers and our grandmothers and fathers and our ancestors long before we were here. So our work is to continue discussing them, continue digitizing them in form of podcasts and videos so that our children can hear these proverbs from us and not other sources. So with that, the first takeaway from today's, proverb, again, this proverb is a proverb that it says, fire devours the grass, but not the roots. Fire devours the grass, but not the roots. It's from Mozambique. And this proverb is a reminder about tough times, and tough times and, good times are always there. They just change places from time to time. And what this proverb is teaching us is that we need to pay attention to, our roots, the things that keep us grounded when we are faced with calamities, when we are faced with the biggest challenges. What are the things that are most important? Is it your family? Is it your job? Is it your health, and invest a lot more time so that, that's your foundation, So the first takeaway that we prepared for you today is that just a reminder that, proverbs are short, memorable phrases that capture truth or wisdom about life. That's what this proverb is teaching us about, that, really, there is a lot of truth and wisdom in just a short statement. Number 2, these proverbs can also be used to give advice and make a point or simply entertain. So, you could take this proverb lightly, and just say, fire devours the grass, but not the roots. But at the same time, you could apply it to your life, and look at a place in your life that it speaks to, and maybe use it to learn your way out of your situation, And then finally, Proverbs can be applied to any situation, no matter how big or small. This is also another reminder that when we see these Proverbs, for me, the Daily African Proverbs, this show is a place where we just want to stop a little, breathe, take time with these Proverbs, and not just read them and pass them, create something out of them, create relationships, be around the village fire and go a little deeper. So with that, I want to invite my special guest, Chioma Sheri, to also speak to this proverb. When you hear this Mozambican proverb, fire devours the grass but not the roots, what is it that comes to your mind, Chioma?
Oh, wow. Okay. So many things came to mind. But I just kind of want to first open up and just say thank you, Simon, and just thank you everybody in the space that keeps this room going. I had like a beautiful moment last night with some of my little cousins, and I brought up this proverb, and I was like, what does this proverb mean to y'all? And they each spoke, and I was just so touched by their interpretations. And one of their interpretations is definitely going to be a part of what I share, and I'll pinpoint that. But it was just such a beautiful moment to like have that. So I was just really grateful for what you and like these proverbs like opened up space for. It was like I was like, wow, look at y'all. You're so smart and so much wisdom in y'all. Like I was just so like in awe of just watching them speak on the proverb. Like it just made my heart so warm. And it also made me think of the I don't know if it's still happening, but remember we would have the children's room on like Fridays. Like, oh my goodness, it reminded me of that too.
Yeah,
um
I miss those a lot.
I do too. So for me, this proverb brought up like a few things. So like when I first heard of it, I thought of like, things can get at your skin or get at you on like a surface level, but they can't get at your root, especially if you're grounded. They can't like really get at your root or like shake you. um I said it's a proverb to remind you to like remember who you are, because like sometimes maybe people might see the outside and they may interpret that some way. You yourself might interpret that some way, but like foundation, like who you are as a person, like knowing that and going back to that and staying in that is that thing that will propel you and just like remind you like, okay, this is who I really am. And like just to go like further into this like this point, my cousin, he was like, this proverb, he says it doesn't necessarily speak just to like, bad things, even like good things, but like he was like, it really speaks to life. Like, so basically, like, life is kind of like a fire that's like constantly like devouring like grass, basically. You know what I mean? Like, we go through life and so much things happen, or so much things like put on us, and so on and so forth. And it's really about um remembering your roots, like, because life is literally like life itself is like putting fire to grass constantly. Like life, like when you go to work, when you're in your house, or when you go outside, it's like a constant, like it's a constant like struggle in some ways. So it's always being reminded to come back to yourself. And I also put that like this proverb reminded me that like sometimes you need to get down to the root of things. And I also said that it reminded me of like, I started to think about like Holy Ghost fire, when people say like Holy Ghost fire. And I remember at my old church, like my pastor was saying, like, you can do whatever you want to like a person. You can give them resources. You can tell them about a thing, but it's really like the Holy Spirit that's really going to change something. And so I started thinking about like fire, just fire itself, which is like a physical thing. but like Holy Ghost fire, which is like another layer, like a thing that gets at like the root. And so it just had me thinking, if like you're really rooted in the spirit and spirit is with you, like nothing can like take you out. But also, like, if you're not deeply rooted in spirit and you're working in some other ways, like it's going to take spirit and a lot more things to get down at like what's really going on with you. And yeah, at the end of the day, I was just like, this to me is like a proverb to remind me to like keep going and remembering who I am. So that is my interpretation.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, when you think about it, you know, once you remember who you are, then what you're going through in the moment is you know, is a passing cloud. You know, is a passing cloud. Is temporary. Who you are, where you're grounded, is what is going to remain after the fire is over. The fire, who you are, is much stronger than the fire. The fire will come and go, right?
Yeah. And that's why it's also important to really know who you are and establish that. Because if you don't have that, like, what are you going to come back to? You're going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're getting back to root, but you don't know what that is, you haven't really defined that for yourself. You haven't really, it's going to be hard to even come back to it. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Yeah, fire devours the grass but not the roots. That's our proverb today from Mozambique. Chioma just shared her interpretation, but I want to invite you, if you're watching, remember to share this video, push the thumbs up button, and you know, let us know in the comments what this proverb means to you. The proverb is from Mozambique, and it says, fire devours the grass but not the roots. Before I continue my conversation with Chioma Sherry, who is my special guest, I want to invite Simply E to just, you know, welcome you all, say a few things, and then we'll come back to you, Chioma. Chioma prepared the poem that was inspired by this proverb, so that after we hear from Simply E, we can come to you and enjoy that. Thank you.
Yes, I enjoyed that interpretation. This is one that's, you know, I've always wondered about, you know, when I see, I don't know if it's a thing everywhere, but I've seen the burning before, the burning of the grass, that's done on certain lands every now and again, and then after that burning happens, the grass grows back a lot more lush. You see different things sprouting out of that, out of the grass, out of the space, and things like that. It's like a rejuvenation almost. Um, and with this, the funny thing about it is it makes me think about the hair for some reason. For some reason, when I'm looking at the grass, in this proverb, I'm thinking about the hair. How when you have like cutting the grass or burning the grass, then the rejuvenation comes back when the grass comes back. And not only that, but like with hair, when you're cutting the hair, when it grows back, it's like symbolic, right, of a new beginning, of a fresh start, of cutting of some energy source, whether it be good or bad, but just a new beginning. So and of course, if you're talking about the root, the hair is still going to grow back out, right? Um, it just, for some reason, it's just resonating with me as like rebirth. The fact that something can still come back, just the cutting of the top layer has nothing to do with what can continue to regenerate. And so I think that's beautiful because, you know, we can take that and just apply that to so many different aspects of life. And I thank you for the space, Simon. Thank you for this proverb. Chioma, I loved your interpretation as well.
Thank you, Simply. I love yours too. I'm taking notes.
Excellent. So, you know, if you're just joining us for the first time, we really appreciate you, and we appreciate the time that you've made to be here with us. Yesterday, our guest was Debbie Berlin, who is in the audience, and we had an incredible conversation. We learned so much about Debbie, and we also learned about the work that she's doing with children in her community. So if you missed that, you should go to my YouTube channel and you will catch that. It's it's literally the video before this video that you are watching right now, and it's also on the African Father in America podcast. It's the latest episode. So Chioma, I'm always excited to listen to your poems and to learn from you. So I'll pass you the microphone so that we can all learn from you and engage with this beautiful piece.
Okay, all right. This one is very short, Simon. The kids had me up till like 3:30. So yeah, this one's really short, but I like it still. So just to read the proverb again, the proverb is fire devours the grass, but not the roots in the poem. Cut me, I'll keep growing. What's on the surface ain't always showing what's underground. Railroads and roots, running deep, an endless pursuit. It'll be if you try to cut me. And that's all.
Nice. I love it.
Also, I want to give the shout out to Debbie because it was so beautiful seeing your face yesterday. I was in the room for a little bit and I heard you say you really like rhymes. So I was like, I'm gonna rhyme with this one. So shout out to you, Debbie.
That's so great. Yeah, Debbie was really great, and just her passion, and when she's even speaking, is just infectious. Simply E, what do you think? What do you think of the piece that Chioma just shared with us?
Yeah, I loved the strength behind it, right? So it was short, but it was potent, very potent. And I love the rhyme too. So that was nice. Having the rhyme. I do free verse as well, and you may not consider it free verse what you normally do. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't believe in always rhyming, but it always is nice to have a rhyme every now and again in there to kind of shake things up and put the curl on the side of the mouth, right? But yeah, that was very potent. I loved the strength, the punch back, right? Um, no, I'm standing here. This is no, I love that. The
Thank
power in that. Yeah,
thank
thank you.
Yeah, we are going to listen to our audience members in a moment. They're going to share their perspectives on our entire conversation, really. But just listening to the feedback simply is giving you reminds me of your other poem, Undiluted, that was published on thebrittlepaper.com. They have a very similar energy in terms of how they grasp you and you want to pay attention to every word. Then you want to read it over. You want to read it aloud, So so speak to what inspired the undiluted poem. I wonder if you have it, but I feel that it's a really amazing poem.
I do have it. Do you want me to read it first?
I would love for you to read it.
Okay.
And this is the poem I've never heard it before. I don't think you've ever shared it in any space that we've shared.
It's so funny. I think way back I was in a Clubhouse room one time and I read it. But other than that, no. So I will read it here. All right, y'all. So this is called Undiluted. All right. He takes his coffee black, says he likes it that way. Straight, strong, undiluted. He takes his coffee black, just like he takes his women, sipping it with ease, says it's the only way he'll have it. It's the only way to go. He takes his coffee black, sitting out on his front porch, the sun resting on his skin. He's not afraid of getting darker. He takes his coffee black. I know this because I'm his night woman in the day, and just like his coffee, he drinks me straight, and I feel good because I don't have to water down or sweeten up. I can just be me, black as evening, and we can just be black on black, undiluted. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a powerful poem. And I just want to ask simply to speak to it, but it was a beautiful surprise can you speak to what inspired it? And you also say that, whenever you ask such questions, you answer them with poems,
No, because when you hit me that question, I was like, oh my God, so deep. Sometimes there are times when I don't necessarily want to really give an interpretation because I kind of want to see what other people feels, and then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it's so vulnerable to give an interpretation. So I was just like, how can I answer this? I tried to answer it in regular words, which I'll try to do. But I was like, how can I answer this in poetry or try to answer it? And so I kind of have a poem for that for the question. So I'll read that poem and then I'll try to use straight words to answer it. All right. So, inspired by a love, a like, a something in between, an outside of, perfectly imperfect, inspired by a relationship, not wanting nothing but being, human being, who we are, not what you think of me or think of us, something sweet, maybe unheard of, only because it's unspoken of, sweetly simple, deeply nuanced and rich. Not everybody want it. Not everyone can take it, but they ain't supposed to. And that's kind of where I stopped at trying to answer it. So funny enough, I was journaling. I can't recall what I was journaling about, if I was journaling about someone or not. I don't know. But I know the line, he takes his coffee black, just came out of nowhere. And I was like, whoa, I love this. This sounds like the start of a poem or something. And I wrote it down. And then I think then I thought of someone, and then I started asking questions, which is something that I do, and I'm trying to do more when I write poems. I was like, he takes his coffee black, and I was like, why he take his coffee black? Because he likes it that way. Why does he like it that way? Because it's straight, strong, And so I started thinking of that, and so it was a mixture of playing with this idea of thinking of people who just love being Black. In every way, but also playing with things. So this taking their coffee black had me think what else do they take black? And it's their skin, their love, so on and so forth. However that may be, it may not be perfect to some, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? And that's just okay. And sometimes people just take that thing. It is what it is. And so it just had me thinking of a love, both of being Blackness, and of a person that's also Black. And I oftentimes I think of Black relationships, and sometimes how it could be strifeful in some ways, but I wanted this piece to just kind of be beautiful, be simple, but also nuanced in some areas, because you're what does that mean there? I don't know how I feel about that, but it is what it is. So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but that's kind of some of the things that went on in my mind while I was thinking of this. And I was just kind of having fun, letting it flow.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, because even the moments where I was thinking of someone, it was I built more story upon that, because he takes his coffee black. I was like, I don't know if this person take their coffee black, but I think they do. You know what I mean? So I be writing stories and stuff. Sometimes based on partial truths and building on it, or full truths and trying to build on it or build a story or whatever. But yeah, that's that piece. And it's really interesting to see what people think about it or hear about it. Yeah.
I love it. And I don't know, I feel like today I really appreciate your responses, and I feel like I'm listening better. For some reason maybe I just grew up from the last time. I feel like I'm gaining a lot more today from our conversation than I have in the past. I don't know if I'm just getting more settled in producing the show while still hosting it, So I just appreciate the vulnerability with which you've shared your process. You you kind of took us into your mind of how you think while creating, but especially such a powerful poem. But I want to just open the space a little for us to hear from our friends who are on the stage with us, and also for me to take a second to invite Susie and MK and Debbie and Roger. Join us on the stage if you can, and also to everyone who is in Clubhouse and listening right now. Each one of you, take a moment, ping in 3 to 5 people, share the room, and you can also clip it and tweet it, and we will be able to retweet it now or later. But I want you to know that this is the effort of the village. This work can't happen without the village. If you are watching this on YouTube, remember to subscribe and also push the notification button, that thumbs up button. But now, Chioma, I just want to ask you to, take a notepad, take a pen, and let's hear what Simply has to say. Simply, throughout the conversation we've had with Chioma today, what inspired you the most, and also what is your own interpretation? I know you shared it a bit earlier, but what's your own interpretation of today's proverb from Mozambique? It says, "Fire devours the grass, but not the roots." And also let us know where you are joining us from. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm joining today from Tennessee in USA. And I'm just looking forward to doing a little bit of traveling here soon. I'm excited about it. Actually, I've been kind of sitting in space for a little too long. Um, but the root is strong, right? It's not like what's on the upper surface. The upper surface protects what's beneath. The root is strong. The root is resilient. It takes a lot to take a root out. You think about the bulldozers that you have to use to pull roots up in these different clips to have a tree to come down from the base. Because a lot of times even when you cut a tree, um, with grass it's the same thing. But when you cut a tree down, it can grow right back. It does the same thing with grass. I mean, the root is resilient. And that's why it's, so important to think about how we're rooted, right? Because today we can show up as one thing, tomorrow we can show up as another thing, something else the next day. All those things could be related, but it all goes back down to the root. How are we rooted? And that is the way that we show up, regardless of the end effect, right? It's all coming from the root. So, yeah, I love this because this proverb I think will have us thinking beyond it for a little bit about how things show up, and if you and based on the root still being there, how it's going to remanifest and come back and show itself here and there. If you don't get rid of the root, you haven't really gotten rid of the thing, and that can sometimes be a really good thing. And that's my interpretation. I would also like to give a little bit of an interpretation based on the second poem that Chioma did, which I think was absolutely beautiful. For some reason today, the hair is on my mind. And when you said he takes his coffee black, I think about the fact that he's taking it in its pure form, and how sometimes, um, if how some people are received as far as their hair being natural, and how they show up, and people want to manipulate the hair and, hey, do this and do this. But really, it's like a form of taking the coffee black. If you're showing up in your natural form of hair, it's just what it is. And so thank you, Chioma. Thank you. Thank you so much, Diamond, for just that opportunity, because for some reason, I'm so giddy today. All of these things are just making a good space in my heart today.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. Um, and Chioma, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just like, that's very, I don't know, that's very sweet. And I just appreciated what you said, because that's definitely what I was going for. Like, just like taking like us as ourselves, like all natural, like nothing. And so when you said hair too, I was like, yes, I like that. But also your interpretation, like your second addition that you added, like I'm gonna talk about it later though. I'm gonna talk about it later. But I was like, yes, okay.
Nice, nice, nice. Wonderful. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Daily African Proverbs. We are here dissecting a proverb from Mozambique, and I'm also hosting a special guest, an incredible, writer, creator, and, storyteller, Chioma Sheri. So we've talked about her interpretation of the proverb. We are now, listening to some of our speakers on the stage and what their interpretations of this proverb could be. We want to move to my brother Rushi. Share with us where you're joining from, what this proverb means to you, and also what inspired you out of the conversation we've been having with Chioma. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you so much. I am home today. I am in Charleston, South Carolina, where my roots are. When I read this proverb this morning when I woke up, it actually made me very, very emotional. And the reason for that is one of the main reasons I am home right now is I have a family reunion coming up on Saturday. So roots have been on my mind immensely for the last week or so. One interesting thing is my father, who's actually the one who's hosting this family reunion. It's the Middleton family reunion. He's the one that's organizing everything, and my father took the time to trace the roots back of his family, which is on his mother's side. And when he did that, he found out that uh, his ancestors, his family is from. There's this big plantation in Charleston called Middleton Place. It's very popular. It's a historic landmark. And he traced the family heritage all the way back to this plantation. And when I started looking at the names of the people of the slave owners in this plantation, I noticed that a lot of the names of these people back in the 1700s, they bear some of the same names of some of my family members today, which made me so, so emotional, seeing that, knowing that I've been to a place where my ancestors were the ones who are responsible for the grass being so pretty, because the thing is when you go there, people always notice the beautification of the grounds. Everyone says how beautiful the grass is. Everyone wants to have picnics and weddings and just lay out and just experience how beautiful it is. But one thing people don't see is the roots, or what's more important is actually the soil which enriches the roots and causes the grass to be what it is, you know? So this proverb to me speaks a lot about what's beneath the surface. Everyone sees the grass. You can burn the grass will grow back. And the reason the grass always grows back is because of the strong foundation that has been built, which is the root system, which also relates to the soil. When I look at the word soil, which is not in that word soil is not in this proverb. However, it's a word that always jumps out to me when I read this proverb is soil. Soil is so important. One thing about soil is there are about six different types of soil. But many people who are into plants, they really don't know much about soil types. A lot of people can't tell you the six different types of soil, whether it's clay soils, chalky soil, or wherever the other ones are. A lot of people can't tell you those things. And when you think about the word soil, I don't know the exact etymology of the word soil, but the word soil makes me think of the word soul. We all have a soul within us. And the soil and the soul are very interrelated when you think about that. And which what also I like to say before I wrap up about this is um, when I think about this proverb, also the day is a very special day for me because today is the day where I'm waiting for I took the time and ordered an African ancestry DNA test, and I'm nervous about it. I'm so excited to know more about my roots, my soul, where my soul is, because my the story doesn't stop or start with where My family reunion, we're finding out that our family is related to this plantation. That's just one part of who I am, who my family is. That's one part of our roots. But it's so important to go deeper to find out, what's in your soul, what's in your DNA. How's my DNA connected to the earth, to the soil, to the roots? Because in this world where fire happens, and when this Proverbs talks about burning the grass, when you burn the grass, it may look ugly, or it may not look pleasing to the eye, but the root system and the soil is the things that's underneath the surface, what you can't see, is what really enriches yourself and enriches our lives. So that's what we have to always dig deep to find. We got to go beneath the surface to see what's in our soil, what's in our soul, so we can bring that out. And I thank you for the time today, Simon.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. Everything you shared with us is just beautiful. And where you are in your journey of life in this moment really, really coincides beautifully with our theme and our topic for today. Turning tough times into opportunity. When you learn all this information about your roots, it can be tough, but it's also an opportunity, a great opportunity that can take you so many places. So I'm happy for you, and I hope that you enjoy the celebration with the rest of the family. I want to welcome everyone who is just joining us for the Daily African Proverbs. My name is Simon Okelo. I am in Seattle, Washington, and we are here with my wonderful guest, Chioma Shiri. We are discussing a Mozambican proverb, and we want to move on to brother Earth, so that we hear what he has to say about this proverb as well. The proverb says, "Fire devours the grass, but not the roots." Brother Earth, where are you joining us from? What is your perspective on this proverb? And also what inspired you during my conversation with Chioma Shiri?
Peace and love, family. This is Brother Earth. And let me say this. What I have to do at the job on Wednesday is usually, what I mean, it get on my nerves, it's aggravating. But n- getting a little poetry fixed, or, what I mean, a dose of poetry has last couple of weeks or however, it's been very helpful in making my day a lot more smoother. And I appreciate all the beautiful poetry and insights that's been dropped so far. And I I kind of right along in the same sentiment of what the family has already been saying so far. You know, like the story of the phoenix, destroyed by the fire, but you can look at the fire as being purification and being reborn from the ashes, uh, brand new. And to touch on what the brother just said to a degree, um, let me say this. Marcus Garvey had a quote. He says, "A people without a knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Trees that are not firmly rooted in rich, fertile soil do not grow, do not bear fruit, and cannot withstand strong wind or bear heavy loads." And us being taught or programmed that our history begins in slavery, they tried to deroot us as a people. Understanding that we are much more, we come from much more than slavery. We have a much richer history than that. And a part of them derooting our culture and a lot of knowledge of who we are, um, we also been taught, and this goes along with Chioma's second poem. Um, this is a conversation I often have. I went to a school in South Carolina, right? And in the school I went to, it was either you was black or white, so-called black or white. Was no Africans, no Chinese, where it was only Asians there. They owned the Chinese restaurant in the town. So for a long time, I just seen things through black and white lens. And what I come to understand, or what I come to see at being raised in that type of condition, most people I interact with, they have a complexion complex, right? Had a cousin who was real light skinned, and he always felt like dark people made him feel like he wasn't black enough. And I have some very dark cousins who always just wanted to be lighter. They say I'm gonna have light skinned babies and things of that nature. But to be able to appreciate, understanding the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, and understanding how pure our roots is, and being able to appreciate that is very beautiful. And I think that's what Chioma was highlighting in her poem. And it is very important that we learn, for a large part, for us to learn to love the beauty in our melanin, or appreciate ourselves in our natural essence, and not try to adapt or conform to what the so-called standards is set by the Europeans. Because if you think about it, everything the European does to beautify herself is in imitation of the sisters. She tan her skin. When she perm her hair, she make her hair curly. She go get lip implants, hip implants, bust implants, all these things to make her look more like her sister. And then they condition our sisters to straighten their hair to look more European. They want to be lighter and certain things. But it's very important, going back to the thing, it's very important that we understand who we are at our roots, so we don't allow others to dictate how we view and feel about ourselves and our natural beauty. And I'll park my plane right there, as brother Hurd.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Earth, for sharing with us your perspectives. Chioma is taking notes. She's going to respond when she's reflecting towards the end of our time together. I want to welcome everyone who is just joining us. We are listening to perspectives from our guests on the stage. We have a special guest that is going to be, sharing her reflections as we close. Chioma Sherry is my guest here. I just want you, Chioma, to say hi so that, everyone knows that you're still here.
Yes, I'm still here. Hi, everyone. I've just been enjoying the conversation so far.
I know. It's great. It's great. Excellent. So let's go to Eddie. Eddie, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what do you think of this proverb that we are discussing today from Mozambique? And also, let us know if anything you've heard since we started spending time here together with you has inspired you. The proverb says, fire devours the grass, but not the roots. Thank you so much.
How you guys doing? First off, peace and love. My name is Hurd. I'm from Oklahoma City. I'm born and raised there. I definitely, love the space. Simply, I definitely love your poem, and my interpretation of your poem. And I love how you kind of, wish everybody, you would like everybody to kind of just interpret from their own point of view. And my point of view.
Chioma's poem.
I'm sorry, but no. Oh, is there Chioma poem that the black is beautiful? I mean, coffee. The coffee.
Yes, that's Chioma.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm so sorry, Chioma. Let me say Chiama's poem. I thought that was simply Z's poem, but Chioma, your poem. I definitely love that poem, and I like how you say that like people interpret it from, and I got my interpretation from it, which is, when you talk about, I'm going to speak on the proverb as well too, but I just want to speak on that poem just for a second, and the fact that, when you say the coffee in its purest form, and the fact that, whenever it's in its purest form, it can't really be judged so much because it's in its purest form, and with so much, judgment coming, within. But on the proverb about, the grass, only burns on the top. I forgot how the proverb went, but I understand the proverb of the grass is only burns on the top. And my perspective on that is sometimes, things happen, and sometimes we get frustrated at it, or we overcomplicate it because we think that it's destroyed. And that, when the fact of the matter is, there's no reason to kind of get crazy and give up right away because it comes with roots. And then if you say, well, I'm going to give up right now, I'm going to run away, and then you come back and say, oh man, there's more growing from there. But because you kind of, jumped the gun and said that, you gave up right away. That was what I thought about it. Definitely love the poem. Love the African proverb as far as they go. And I'm pretty sure, many people have different things that they get from it. And that's what I kind of love about Proverbs is that sometimes Proverbs speaks, to different people in different ways. But peace and love to everybody in the room. Nice to meet all you guys, and I'll land right there.
Peace and love to you. Thank you so much, Eddie, for being here with us. We are going to go on to Bibi in a moment. Eddie, thank you for your words of wisdom. We've noted and we are going to reflect on it in a moment. Bibi, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? And what are your perspectives on today's incredible proverb from Mozambique?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Simon, for hosting this room weekly, daily. It's beautiful. And I just woke up, so I missed lots of what Chioma was saying, but I'll pick on my interpretation for the proverb today. The first thing that came to my mind was not everything needs an explanation. And with that, I'll use the example of, for example, the Madaraka Festival and everything else in the entertainment industry. It's like everything that people see is just everything that's already been done, but there's so much work behind the scenes. And unless you're ready to fully understand, not everything needs an explanation. And that's just my take. And thank you so much.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you, Bibi, for being here. Let's hear from Susie. Susie, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts on this proverb?
Hi, Simon. I'm actually at work. I did back channel your message.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Yeah. If you can't speak now, we just want you to know that you're deeply appreciated. Debbie, how are you doing? Thank you again for making the time yesterday. Please share your perspectives on today's proverb and let us know where you're joining us from as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. I was so happy. Thank you for hosting me yesterday. Greetings and appreciation to all. Debbie Berlin, Game Dev Debbie, joining from Maryland near Washington, D.C. I would like to add to the conversation about colorism because it does affect us. Even in Jamaica, a lot of people bleach their skin, even to the point where it shows up in some music, some reggae music. They say we have to go to the beach, we have to bleach. Wow, that's how much it permeates, and it saddens me. So I just want to uplift and celebrate this time where we're coming as a society, as a world, where we're celebrating beautiful Black beauty. And we have hashtags like melanin magic and Black girl magic. Ooh, that makes me feel so good. And I'm inspired by the Sudanese model. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce her name correctly, but it's Naya Kim Gatwech, who was even told by, can you believe an Uber driver had the audacity, Uber driver, to tell her she should bleach her skin? What? She said, my skin absorbs the sun's rays and my hair defies gravity. Now you can't tell me I'm not magical. I'm so inspired by her. And I also recommend the poem, Lord, Lord, Why Did You Make Me Black? By Runette Nia Ibo. Very powerful celebration of us beautiful Black women. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Debbie. I almost want to start responding to questions with absolutely, because every time you always start with absolutely, Anyway, so I appreciate that. I'm going to really, I love that because then you draw my attention. I'm like, okay, now I have to listen to Debbie, and I appreciate you. Tanya, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts on this proverb from Mozambique?
Thank you for inviting me to speak. I love listening to the people here, very inspiring. So I'm calling from Brooklyn, New York, and I love this proverb. I didn't understand it. I've heard versions of it before, and I never understood it because I felt, I don't know, I guess I was disconnected from my roots and I didn't understand the value. But now, so I'm Haitian American, and for a long time I was kind of trying to fit into the Western culture and trying to, kind of hide or cover up my culture in any way that I thought would make it easier for the people around me to kind of like accept me. And then recently, the past few years, I started to really dive deep into my culture and learning, practicing my language, Haitian Creole, and like actually understanding like the way that we see the world. And some things really started to resonate with me, and I'm like, oh, that's why I never connected with certain elements of American culture. And that's why, and it's like I found my culture so rich, and then I'm realizing, oh, I've been okay all this time, because if you're here, if you're born here, you kind of get the sense that your culture is, not as important or not as interesting or devalued. And so learning more about my culture and wanting to kind of integrate more into my natural community, like the people who I totally who would receive me so well and who would make me feel warm, like doing that has made me feel like, oh my gosh, it's like it made me want to like dig deeper. And once I started to understand that, I understood myself better. And then I realized, you know what? Like I've been fine, and I'm perfectly like I'm everything. I have everything within me that I need. So I highly recommend, if you're feeling, disconnected for whatever reason, that you just go back to the source, go back to your community and value your community, even if it feels like, maybe your community is devalued or, has suffered in some way. It's still worth investing in yourself and in your people. Yeah, so that's what I have to share. Thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you for sharing, your incredible words of wisdom as well. Lavender, how are you doing, and where are you joining us from? And what is your own interpretation of today's proverb from Mozambique?
Hi, Simon. Hi, everyone. This is Lavender. I'm speaking from Kenya. My thoughts about today's proverb are fire. Sorry, 1 second.
I can read it for you.
Yeah, it
Fire.
says fire devours the grass but not the roots. Fire devours the grass but not the roots, from Mozambique.
Oh, fire. Yeah, the Mozambique proverb, fire devours the grass, but not the root. I feel like this is a very powerful proverb. And what comes to mind is the roots, like where you come from. That's one thing that no one can take from you. The foundation you've built for yourself, the kind of person you've um, created yourself to become, no one can take that from you. And um, even in times of adversaries or difficult times, whatever you go through, be it good or bad, you still remain the same person you are. Your roots are deep inside of you. Thank you. This is Lavender. Asante sana.
Karibu Lavender. Hi Latanja, how are you doing? And what is your own perspective on this proverb? Fire devours the grass but not the roots.
Thank you, Simon, for having me. I appreciate your space. And yes, fire devours the grass, but not the roots. I say we're grounded with strength, stamina, and sure will. It's all in the ways in which our ancestors tilled. Staying rooted in truth gives meaning to the burning desire to succeed. Our true essence and nature gives us everything we need. It makes me feel as if our innate ability to shine is the light that's tested, tried, and told through divine time. That's my take.
Thank you so much. And Stella is going to close us out before we come back to Chioma to wrap this session up today. Thank you thank you to all of you who are with us on YouTube, and also everyone who is with us on Clubhouse. Stella, share your perspectives on today's proverb: fire devours the grass, but not the roots.
Thank you, Simon. This is Stella from Kenya. Hello, everyone. I feel so bad that I missed Chioma's poem today in her presentation, but it's okay. I'll listen and I'll go to her page and also read the poem. Otherwise, the proverb today is interesting one, and I want to relate it to learning, because when you decide to learn something, it's like there's always that fire that is burning you. You're investing a lot of time, you're investing a lot of energy, and sometimes you end up spending a lot of time late into the night, very early mornings, and it's such a huge sacrifice, because sometimes you just want to sleep in, but you have to accomplish your goals. But just like this proverb says that it will devour the grass but not the root. Sure, it's learning really takes a lot of you, especially your time. But at the end of the day, the fruits are so enjoyable. So that's my thought on the proverb. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stella. But now, Chioma, we've been seeing a lot of exciting, comments on YouTube, especially from Fred, who has been throwing a lot of gems. So if you are not on YouTube, you have to go there and check out those comments. We can't read them now because we are at the tail end of our time together. So Chioma, please share your reflections and also let us know how we can support you and the incredible work that you do.
All right, so there's just so many stuff to take away from this and everything that y'all said. Something that stood out for me that Simply E said, you said like rebirth, and you brought up like two questions, sort of like how are we rooted, and then like people are gonna have like this proverb like has us thinking like how people show up, like how people show up may not always necessarily be like at the root per se. So it had me like thinking about that. Rushi, I just really appreciated you just sharing so much of what you shared about your family reunion that's happening and how you've been like digging back into your history. I'm like, please keep us updated on like what you hear back from Ancestry, because like I'm interested in like doing that myself. And like I just think what you said is just so true. Like you said what's important is like the soil, like what's beneath the surface. And you said like what's in the soil, what's in the soul. And it's so funny because when I was taking notes on what you said, I accidentally spelled soul. So when you had said that, I had looked at it, I was like, oh, I spelled this wrong, but wait a minute. And then so when you had said you said like soul, I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, just everything you said about like, actually digging into your history, like what that did for you. And also how you just talked about like where you were and how like people see the grass, but they don't necessarily know like the soil and like the work, like, and who those people were that worked that and like brought up this beautification of like the space. So I just appreciated your whole share. Brother, some things that you said that stood out. The fire as like purification. Trees that are not firmly rooted do not grow or produce fruit. Eddie, you said there's no reason to get crazy. I just like that she said like there's no reason to get crazy and give up because they come from roots. So this idea that like maybe if like something like goes bad or doesn't necessarily work out the way we want to, it's like no reason to give up, because like there's so much more within us. Like that thing came from a root. So like, okay, I can pull up again from that root. So that was just encouraging. BB, when you said not everything needs an explanation, I said, oh my goodness, literally. And it brought me back to like what Simply E says. Like sometimes like people may question how we show up, and like, you don't need an explanation. People don't necessarily need, because some people are not even really trying to hear that. They're not really trying to know what's deeper. So I just like that. Like not everything needs an explanation. Debbie, just thank you for your energy. Thank you for your energy always, and just talking about just colorism and how that like exists in Jamaica. I was like, I need to do some more like research, because I'm part Jamaican. I don't know if you knew that, but when I hear you, I'm like, so nice to hear your voice. Tanya, you said I have everything within me, and that just really stuck with me. And I just want to shout out to you and just my Haitian brothers and sisters out there. I'm not Haitian, but I know a lot of Haitians, or a decent amount. So I just want to like, I love that you're on this journey, and just encourage you to continue to go, because it's inspired me as well. Lavender, you said the roots are where we come from, and the foundation we built, and no one can take that from us. Latanja, you're a poet. You're a poet. I know you're a poet. Because your shares are always in like poetic form. The line that stood out to me was our true, and hopefully I'm getting it right. Our true essence and nature gives us everything we need. And then Stella, I love you always give like a different twist and perspective. I like that you talked about learning. You said learning takes a lot from you, but at the end of the day, the fruits are enjoyable. So yeah, I'm just grateful for everything everyone shared. Last thing, rebirth. Like just that word rebirth stuck with me. But yeah, that is my interpretation. If y'all want to support me, y'all can continue just come into this space. Y'all can check out my poetry on my IG, chioma.cherie. And also if y'all want to like see the poem that like I read that Simon was talking about, it's also in like I have a link tree on my IG where you can read that poem if you'd like to. But yeah, just keep coming to the space. Showing me love. You can share stuff. You can share my poetry if you hear of any like really interesting things, or if you want to like connect in any way, like that is a way of supporting as well. So yeah, thank you all. I really appreciate everything y'all said, and I appreciate you, Simon, for holding this space. It's just a really nice thing in my morning. So yeah.
Thank you, Chioma. I deeply appreciate you as well for your support, and just you are a very strong root to what we are doing here, and I always I can't thank you enough. So yeah. So to our guests, if you've been watching this the entire time, I see you, I appreciate you. And I can't wait to learn more about who you are. So just leave a comment with who you are, where you're joining us from, and what this proverb from Mozambique means to you. And also, if you're in the Clubhouse space, or if you're listening on the podcast, thank you for joining us. Remember to if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, subscribe over there. We have a really great community growing around the African Father in America podcast. So, without you all listening and watching and sharing, and also joining us live every Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, this thing can't happen, So I really thank you again, Chioma. Have a beautiful day. And to the rest of you, join us for Madaraka, by the way. Madaraka Festival, August 13th and 14th in Seattle. It's also going to be live streamed on One Vibe TV on YouTube. So, find a way that you can make it. And, there are ways you can be involved even if you are not in Seattle. So let me know if you want to be deeply involved. I truly thank you all. Chioma, have a beautiful day.
You too.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.